The sun rose over Port Charles, casting a golden hue across the harbor. But peace was a fragile illusion. Beneath the surface of luxury and civility, secrets festered like wounds, and one woman was done playing nice. Nina Reeves, fresh from the heartbreak of losing Willow's love, Michael's respect, and the last shreds of her social standing, had a new purpose: revenge. Her target? Curtis Ashford. The man who exposed her SEC tip to Sonny. The man who thought he could play both sides. And the woman aiding him, Portia Robinson, wouldn't escape unscathed. They had ruined her reputation, her relationship, and her chance to be a mother to Wiley and Amelia. Now it was time for them to pay. Curtis thought he was clever, running his nightclub, playing peacekeeper between mob factions, working behind the scenes with Jordan and the PCPD. But he wasn't nearly as invisible as he believed. Through her quiet reconnections with Valentine and leveraging what remained of Crimson's digital resources, Nina uncovered surveillance footage that shocked even her. Curtis had made deals with arms traffickers through a hidden corridor beneath the Savoy. Even more damning, he had accepted off-the-record cash transfers to stay silent on various crimes, including one connected to the disappearance of a witness tied to Victor Cassadine. When Nina brought this to Martin Gray, the usually calm lawyer paled. This could put him away for decades, Martin muttered. Where did you get this? I have friends, Nina said icily. And now I have motivation. Portia Robinson had always tried to walk the line. Doctor, mother, wife. But her marriage to Curtis was falling apart. Since his paralysis and subsequent recovery, something in him had changed. He'd grown colder, more distant, and more dangerous. She tried to ignore the secret meetings, the coded calls, and the unmarked envelopes. But then came the night. He came home with blood on his jacket and a dead look in his eyes. Portia began planning her exit that very moment. She stashed cash in an old violin case at the hospital. She forged patient records to create a new identity for herself under the alias Dr. Jocelyn Kane. She even bought a burner phone and began communicating with a contact in Canada, someone who promised safe passage to Montreal. But Nina had other plans. Nina visited Curtis at the Savoy under the guise of wanting peace. You know, we've both made mistakes. She purred as jazz played in the background. I'm just tired of fighting. Maybe we could come to a quiet agreement.
Curtis didn't buy it.
You're up to something, Nina. I can see it in your eyes. You should have thought of that before feeding the SEC those lies about Drew. You're no better than I was. Only difference is, I was desperate for my daughter. Curtis scowled. And I did it to protect my family. Nina smirked, sliding a USB across the table. Then I'm sure you'll want to erase the footage on this. But you won't be able to. I've already sent copies to Anna, Robert, and Jordan. Tick-tock. Curtis grabbed the drive and stormed off, but the damage was done. The very next day, Jordan Ashford, with a heavy heart, signed a warrant for her ex-husband's arrest. As Curtis stepped out of General Hospital after meeting with TJ, he was blindsided by flashing lights and uniformed officers. Curtis Ashford, you're under arrest for conspiracy to traffic arms, obstruction of justice, and accepting illegal payments related to the Victor Cassadine investigation. I want a lawyer, Curtis yelled as Jordan approached, tears in her eyes. Don't make this harder than it is, she whispered. You did this to yourself. Meanwhile, across town, Portia had already activated her escape plan. She walked out of GH with her wig on, a trench coat wrapped tightly around her frame, and took the side exit no one used except janitors. She made it to a waiting van, driven by Zeke, her brother. You sure about this, Portia? He asked. I'm not going to wait around for the cops to drag me into this mess. Curtis made his bed, and I'm not lying in it. When Trina Robinson got the call, her world fell apart. My mother's on the run, she said to Spencer, pacing the gallery. And my stepfather's in jail? Spencer tried to comfort her, but she shook him off. You don't understand. My family is imploding, and Nina of all people, has her fingerprints on this. Then we fight back, Spencer said softly. We expose her. But Trina wasn't so sure. She didn't know who to believe anymore. When Sonny Corinthos heard about Curtis' arrest, he knew Nina had been behind it. He invited her to the penthouse. "You think I don't know what you're doing?" Sonny asked coldly. "I did what had to be done," Nina replied. "Curtis betrayed me, and Portia covered for him. You taught me to be strong. So don't act surprised when I finally start fighting like you." Sonny's eyes darkened. "You're playing a dangerous game." "I've already lost everything," Nina said. "I've got nothing left to lose." In Canada, Portia found herself backed into a corner. Her contact had betrayed her, and the fake passport she was given was flagged at the border. With no options left, she called the last person she ever wanted to speak to, Cyrus Renaud. "I need help," she whispered into the phone. Cyrus chuckled. "Oh, how the mighty fall. What's it worth to you?" "I'll give you information on Sonny. On the hospital. On anything. Just get me out of here." Cyrus agreed, but his price would be higher than she ever imagined. Back in Port Charles, Martin Gray, riddled with guilt, confessed everything to Anna Devane. "Nina didn't just turn Curtis in," he said. "She orchestrated the whole thing. And there's more. She paid someone to forge signatures on a bank account tied to the Savoy." Anna sighed. "We can't let vigilante justice take over this town." Warrants were drawn. Nina's office was searched. And soon, the trail led straight to her burner phone, connecting her to Portia's forged identity and the whistleblower payments. As the truth surfaced, Trina was faced with an agonizing choice. "Go public," Laura told her gently. "Tell the press what you know about Curtis. Clear your conscience." But Trina hesitated. "He's still my family." "You're stronger than him," Laura said. "And you'll survive the fallout." In a stunning press conference, Trina stepped in front of cameras at the Port Charles courthouse. "I'm not here to protect anyone," she said. "I'm here to tell the truth. Curtis, behind bars, learned the full extent of Nina's manipulation, and that Portia had fled, leaving behind her marriage, her daughter, and her entire life." He sat in silence as the guards passed by. When Cyrus Renaud sent him a message, "You and I may become cellmates soon," he realized his world had truly collapsed. Portia, on the other hand, found herself cornered in Nova Scotia. The man protecting her wasn't a safe-house operator. He was a Renault affiliate, and the message she received on her burner phone made her blood run cold. Back in Port Charles, Nina stood on the steps of the Metro Court, her future in the balance. Anna approached with the warrant. "Nina Reeves, you are under arrest for obstruction of justice, evidence tampering, and conspiracy in the evasion of justice by Portia Robinson." Nina smiled faintly. "You're arresting me, but I'm not the villain," she whispered. "I'm the product of this town. A mirror. And when you look at me, you see yourselves." As she was led away in cuffs, the crowd murmured, not with condemnation, but confusion. Some applauded. Others looked horrified. Curtis remained in jail, awaiting trial. Jordan refused to visit him. Trina spoke to him only once to say goodbye. Portia's whereabouts were unknown. Rumors placed her in the Balkans, working in an underground clinic. Others whispered she was back in the U.S., under a new name. Nina? She was out on bail, wearing a red dress at the Metro Court bar, sipping champagne. Martin walked in. "You're free for now," he warned. "I always find a way," she said. And with that, she turned toward the skyline of Port Charles. It was a new era. And Nina Reeves wasn't done yet.